Throughout history, many fascinating books and works have left readers completely speechless. Many of these books are not only written in an unknown language, but also contain information that is beyond the scope of human understanding. These books are written in certain cryptic codes that left historians scratching their heads. While many of these manuscripts have been lost to time, there are still those that have been carefully preserved and which continue to pique the interest of historians, cryptologists, and occultists. Join us today as we look at the 15 most mysterious books ever written in history that continue to baffle everyone today. Number 15. The Red Book by Carl Jung. The distinguished 19th century Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung left behind a vast and complex legacy. After being mentored by Sigmund Freud, who was well known for inventing and developing the technique of psychoanalysis, Jung went in a different direction to formulate his ideas about the human mind, which are now generally referred to as Jungian theories. Carl believed that all of humanity shares what he referred to as a collective unconscious, and in the power of archetypes, that our myths and symbols are universal and innate and serve a greater purpose in helping us learn from each of our stages in life. Jung was both a respected scholar and a practicing psychotherapist. His ideas on the spirituality of the human psyche and the efficacy of archetypes still greatly impact clinicians and researchers today. The Red Book was a project by Jung that remains one of the oddest and most perplexing contributions to the field of psychoanalysis. In the handwritten book, he lets the reader into the inner workings of his own mind, leading them on a surreal, hallucinatory journey. What makes the Red Book so intriguing is that it's handwritten and contains deeply intimate diary entries, which Carl started recording when he was 11, and it took 16 years for the book to be completed. The book is a journey to Carl's soul. It contains highly detailed, illuminated illustrations and very intricate wording. Jung considered his book to be the crowning achievement of his career, yet he never publicly released it. This was because one of his greatest fears was that readers would think he was completely insane. As he wrote in the book's epilogue, "To the superficial observer, it will appear like madness." After Jung died in 1964, his heirs stashed the book away in a safe deposit box to safeguard Jung's reputation before it was first displayed in a museum in public. This book is available to just a few people, but with a couple of $100, you can get access to the book. Number 14. Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is undoubtedly the most mysterious document ever written in a language no one knows anything about. Scholars and scientists are still trying to decipher it and resolve the mystery, but they've had no luck so far. Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish antiquarian bookseller, first came into possession of the Voynich manuscript in 1912. There are around 250 pages in the document, all of which are either written in an alien dialect or contain mysterious, incomprehensible codes. Scholars and scientists have put up various theories in an effort to decode the manuscript's passages, but so far, all of these have been considered unacceptable. The book, with its drawings of animals, people, astrology, zodiac symbols, herbs, and maps, is dated to the 15th or 16th century. However, a German Egyptologist named Rainer Hennig claimed that he had cracked the code. According to him, the document was not written in an Indo-European language, but rather in a Semitic language like Aramaic, Arabic, or Hebrew. Some scholars have argued that the text is gibberish and that the document is an elaborate hoax. Some have speculated that Hebrew is the underlying language, while others have suggested that it's Latin or a Romance language. In 2018, a pair of scholars asserted that the ancient Aztecs created the manuscript since some of the plant images appear to be based on the flora of Central America. None of these claims have gained widespread acceptance, though, which makes the origin and meaning of the Voynich manuscript a mystery eroded by the sands of time. The manuscript now resides in the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University and is available to students to explore the endless possibilities surrounding the mystery book. Number 13. The Devil's Bible. Back in July 1648, the Swedish army ransacked the city of Prague during the closing battles of the 30 Years' War. When they eventually made it back home, they brought with them many looted valuables, including a book known as the Codex Gigas. Not only is the Codex Gigas famous for being the largest medieval book in the world, but because of its contents, it is also known as the Devil's Bible. The Devil's Bible is a 36 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and 8.7 inches thick book that contains 310 pages. But what is striking about it is that instead of paper, the book pages are made from vellum, which is made from 160 donkeys. The Devil's Bible was originally 320 pages long, but the final 10 pages were removed at some point. The Devil's Bible was supposed to be a historical document and contains the entire Christian Bible, the Jewish War and Jewish Antiquities by Flavius Josephus, an encyclopedia by Saint Isidore of Seville, and the Chronicle of Bohemia, written by a Bohemian monk named Cosmas. Shorter texts, especially those dealing with medicine, repentance, and exorcism, are also included in the book. According to some historians, the author of the Devil's Bible was a single author, possibly a monk in the region of Bohemia, now part of the Czech Republic, who wrote it in the first half of the 13th century. The Bible is called the Devil's Bible because it contains a full-size illustration of the devil. Portraits of the devil were common during the Middle Ages, but this particular portrait is unique. Here the devil is portrayed alone on the page. The image is very big and 19 inches tall. The devil is crouching and facing forward. He is naked apart from an ermine loincloth. Ermine is worn as a sign of royalty. The devil is believed to wear ermine in this image to demonstrate that he is the Prince of Darkness. Several myths surround the creation of the Devil's Bible, which all involve the devil. Popular legend has it that the author sold his soul to the Prince of Darkness in exchange for the ability to write the entire book in a single night. There's a picture of the city of heaven on the page beside the portrait of the devil. Many people see this as the heavenly Jerusalem described in the book of Revelation. It was common in the Middle Ages to leave book spreads on display to convey a message to those who saw them. It is believed that the message intended here is to show the rewards of a God-fearing life on one page and the horrors of a sinful life on the other. But as to who actually wrote the Bible, what was on those missing pages, is there truly a curse, and did the devil truly have a hand in its creation? Many questions surround the Devil's Bible that may never be answered. Number 12. The Book of Soiga. Magic, rituals, incantations, and magical formulas. That is what the Book of Soiga is all about. Also known as Alderaya, the book was written in the 16th century and dealt with magic, astrology, incantations, and demonology. During his time as an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I in the 1580s, scholar John Dee purchased a book whose author he could not find. Dee dedicated his entire existence to unlocking the book's mysteries and trying to understand it at a deeper level. The text was written primarily in standard Latin, which made it easy to read and understand. However, multiple paragraphs were devoted to explaining different types of conjurations, magical formulas, protective spells, and the hierarchy of angels and devils. The final 36 pages of the Book of Soiga, which included 36 tables, remained indecipherable to Dee. Once he passed away in 1609, the manuscript disappeared. In 1994, the book was found again in the British Library and the Bodleian Library. Today, the Book of Soiga remains shrouded in mystery as certain figures cannot properly be translated or deciphered. Who wrote it? What do those 36 tables and their magical words mean? No one knows much about the origin of the book and its connection to the supernatural world. Number 11. Codex Seraphinianus. A single book can open up a whole different universe for you depending on its genre. While books are based on strong world building, you cannot necessarily write anything you want. But in the case of Codex Seraphinianus, people believe that the author of the book drew completely random stuff, and some people even theorize that the book contains illustrations from an extraterrestrial planet. The Codex Seraphinianus has been designed like an encyclopedia of an extraterrestrial universe, no doubt the absurd reflection of our world. It comprises chapters describing the flora and fauna, science, machines, games, inhabitants, and customs. Flowers float, bananas are filled with medicine, cars are covered in flies, and many beings are strangely dismembered or decked in weird or wonderful costumes. The book is such a mystery that artists have pondered on the illustrations, philosophers have put their heads together to try and solve the riddle of its deeper meaning, and a few die-hard linguists or mathematicians have tried to decipher the text, but all in vain. In the late 1970s, Alberto Manguel was living and working in Milan for an Italian publisher specializing in publishing previously unpublished works discovered in archives and secret libraries. One day, the publishing house received a parcel containing a bizarre text written in unreadable handwriting. The manuscript did not include any sort of note, no sign of who sent it or where it came from. A note soon followed from the author of the text, Luigi Serafini, describing it as the Codex Serafini. Eventually, it became known as the Codex Serafinianus. In spite of its incomprehensibility, the Codex generated considerable interest after its 1981 release. People speculated that it was a code or made-up language that only Serafini could understand. Codex Serafinianus, just like the Voynich, remains indecipherable as of today, but it contains hand-drawn, colored pencil illustrations that are very bizarre with a very unique writing style. But no one knows any more about the book or its author. Number 10. The Rohones Codex. In addition to the Voynich manuscript, Codex Serafinianus and Linear A, the Rohones Codex, which was first discovered in a Hungarian library in 1838, is among the most well-known unsolved writing systems in the world. Scholars, linguists, and codebreakers have all tried and failed to decipher even a single word from the manuscript since it was discovered. The manuscript contains about 90 cartoon-like illustrations of battles and various religious themes. It's still unclear whether the text in Rohones Codex should be read from left to right or right to left. For the first time, the Rohones Codex was made available to the public in 1743 in the form of a listing in the library's catalogue. It's theorized that rather than being an artifact from a vanished civilization, this piece was purposefully created in a complex coding language that not even the brightest minds can crack. Still, academics and researchers are stumped by the Codex's baffling secrets. The Rohones Codex's only known certain feature until now is that it was written on paper and produced in Italy somewhere around the 16th century. The Codex was named after the city of Rohones in western Hungary, now Recknitz, Austria, where it was kept until 1838, when it was donated to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences by Gustav Bocciani, a Hungarian count, together with his entire library. No one knows who wrote the book or what it says, making it an appealing mystery for historians, scholars, and lay readers interested in mysteries, codes, and ciphers. Number 9. Popol Vuh. We know about the famous theories and hypotheses about the creation of the universe and the origin of mankind. But there is a mysterious sacred book written by the Mayas that represents the creation of Earth and humans, but in a very striking manner. Popol Vuh is a sacred book written by the Mayas. Both spiritual and psychological, it explains how gods brought life to Earth and how they later destroyed the humans they had made of wood and clay to praise them since they weren't able to procreate. The Popol Vuh, also known as the Book of Advice or the Book of Community, explains that before the Earth was created, there was just silence and darkness, only the sky and the sea, until the Tepu and the Gukumats gods created trees, animals, and man. No one knew this book existed until 1701, but its origin is still unknown today. No one knows for sure who wrote the initial version, although it is believed that Christianized Indians from the Quiche language group produced it around the middle of the 16th century. Francisco Jimenez, a Spanish priest, later translated it into Spanish in 1701. Popol Vuh is considered a source of Maya identity through the themes of religion, mythology, history, astrology, customs, and legends. It is said to date back to the early 1500s and shares a unique perspective on the creation of humans and animals. Number 8. Lay Prophecies. What if there is a book out there with prophecies that actually came to life? What if there was someone, probably a seer, who could predict the future events before they happened, and so he used the blessing he was given to write about the possibilities and compiled them in a book full of prophecies? Well, there is a book called Lay Prophecies, which is widely known as the Book of Prophecies, written by Michael de Nostradamus in the 16th century, that contains predictions about some of the major historical events. Michael de Nostradamus was a famous Frenchman and self-proclaimed seer who wrote about his foresight in his book. Les Prophéties, one of his best books, was initially published in 1555 and has never been out of print since his death. The prophecies were written in a mix of French, Greek, Latin, and Occitan and had no chronological coherence. It is speculated that it contains anagrams, references to mythology and astrology, and is written in a subjective language, making it challenging to understand and interpret. Experts believe that Nostradamus hid behind these writings to avoid being punished by the Holy Inquisition for heresy. Nevertheless, a large following formed around Nostradamus because of the widespread belief that he accurately predicted truly historic events such as the rise of Adolf Hitler, the conquest of Napoleon, the French Revolution, the death of Henry II, the Great Fire of London, the 9/11 attacks, and the assassination of John F. Kennedy. All the prophecies in Les Prophéties are written in 4 lines of rhyming verse. Many scholars claim that his predictions are merely a material of misinterpretations and mistranslations, while others believe he was really able to predict the future, and this book is based on true predictions. Well, who knows? Number 7. The Greek Magical Papyri. Whether magic exists or not is still under debate, but the Greek Magical Papyri is an extensive collection of ancient magical spells, rituals, remedies, hymns, and myths. The Greek Magical Papyri is a 2nd century BC book written mostly in ancient Greek. The material inside the papyri dates from the 100s BCE to the 400s CE. The book is a complete guide to magic spells, rituals, formulae, divinations, and hymns. What makes this book so interesting is that it consists of instructions on how to summon a demon, open the doors to the underworld, protect oneself from wild beasts, and a way to gain a supernatural assistant, an entity from another world who does your bidding. The most well-known spells are divination ones in which you can view the future. The manuscript came to light in the 1700s through the antiquities trade. The best-known text from the magical papyri is the Mithras liturgy. The book is a Bible for occult followers. Number 6. The Kybalion. The human mind has been a subject of fascination for a long time, and many books have been written to understand and manipulate it. The Kybalion is one such book written by the 3 initiates, which talked about cryptic knowledge of how to control the human mind. The Kybalion is a strange compilation of knowledge that was published in 1908 by the Yogi Publication Society. The book has been instrumental in establishing the Hermetic doctrine and its 7 guiding principles. The principles described in the book are great secrets that have been passed down from lip to ear. Hermes Trismegistus was an ancient sage who first received this knowledge from Egyptian gods. The content of the book have always been considered a part of the occult and hence have been kept under wraps. The word occult here simply means kept secret and has nothing to do with religion or black magic. In it, the 3 initiates describe the knowledge and principles related to mentalism and human experience. It explains how to influence and change the mind according to your will. The Kybalion has a great deal of information on the universe's underpinnings that is still unknown by most of humanity and is a wonderful creation. Number 5. The Lesser Key of Solomon. If you're interested in spirits and demonology, you may have heard about the book called The Lesser Key of Solomon. It is also known as Lemegeton Clavicula Solomonis, or simply Lemegeton. The Lesser Key of Solomon is an anonymous grimoire on demonology that was compiled in the mid-17th century, mostly from materials a couple of centuries older. It is divided into 5 books: the Ars Goetia, which talks about 22 demons and rituals of demon summoning; Ars Theurgia Goetia, that has knowledge of seals and the order of the spirit's corrupted transmission via manuscript; Ars Paulina, which is further divided into 2 books, the first detailing 24 angels aligned with the 24 hours of the day, the second detailing the 360 spirits of the degrees of the zodiac; Ars Almedel, that instructs the magician on how to create a wax tablet with specific designs intended to contact angels via scrying; and Ars Notoria, a series of prayers intended to grant eidetic memory and instantaneous learning to the magician. It is said that the Lesser Key of Solomon comes from ancient practices of Arab alchemy and Jewish Kabbalah, and later Greek and Roman influences were added over time as the book made its way to modern occult practitioners. Number 4. The Picatrix. Cryptic astrological descriptions and spells, that's what the Picatrix is all about. The Picatrix is a grimoire in the Arabian language that was written in the 10th or 11th century, and it contains knowledge about astrology and occult magic. The Picatrix contains 400 pages that were originally written in Arabic and titled the Gahayat al-Hakim, which translates to the aim of the sage. The book covers spells, notorious magic recipes, and incantations to channel occult energies. Its cryptic astrological descriptions and spells have been translated into different languages and used by many cultures as well as occult followers all over the world. The ingredients that are included in these magic spells are blood, bodily excretions, and brain matter mixed with opium and psychoactive plants. The book is also referred to as a handbook of talismanic magic and a rigorous exposition of celestial magic in the Arabic language, and is a treasure for occult groups and magic practitioners. Number 3. The Ripley Scroll. Humans are mortal, but a man in the 15th century set out on a journey to find the secrets of immortality and how a man can live forever. The Ripley Scroll is a series of scrolls named for George Ripley, a 15th century Augustinian monk from Yorkshire who moonlighted as an alchemist. He spent nearly 20 years traveling through Europe, searching for the secrets of transmutation and immortality. And by the time he returned to England in 1477, some believed that he had found it. It was alleged that much of the money that he gave to the Knights of Malta and Rhodes to fund their war against the Turks came from gold he had transmuted from base metals. The Ripley Scrolls show in a cryptic series of pictures how to create the fabled Philosopher's Stone. For those who have not already learned alchemy or who haven't read the Harry Potter books, this stone is the key ingredient in creating the elixir of life and for making gold out of lead. The pictures are accompanied by enigmatic text saying, "You must make water of the earth of the air, and air of the fire, and fire of the earth." Number 2. The Dead Sea Scrolls. In 1947, 2 Bedouin goat herders literally fell into a cave along the Dead Sea by the West Bank in Palestine. There they made an astonishing discovery: fragments of scrolls from nearly 2,000 years ago, along with a handful of pottery, cloth, and wood from an ancient settlement called Qumran. The scrolls are generally believed to have belonged to a Jewish sect called the Essenes, though others argue that they might have belonged to other sects such as the Sadducees, Pharisees, or Zealots. Nearby caves yielded other treasures, including more fragments of scrolls, parchments, and papyrus. The scrolls had been hidden in clay jars during a time when the Roman military was actively trying to destroy both Jewish culture and the nascent Christian movement. The archaeological site of Qumran had been razed by Romans in 67 AD, and ash found at the site confirmed that amongst its ruins were other scrolls and books. The Dead Sea Scrolls are considered a keystone in archaeology's history, with great historical, religious, and linguistic significance because they include the oldest surviving manuscripts of entire books later included in the biblical canons. They represent the remnants of larger manuscripts damaged by natural causes or through human interference, with the vast majority holding only small scraps of text. Most of the texts are Hebrew, with some written in Aramaic and a few in Greek. The Dead Sea Scrolls are in poor condition, and not all of the text in the manuscript has been completely understood by scholars and researchers, but still they hold great historical importance. Number 1. The Sangorsky edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Is it possible for a book to be as cursed as the Hope Diamond? If so, the Sangorsky special edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam is. This book is a work of art in and of itself. The cover is bound in leather, features a jewel-encrusted peacock on the front, and is emblazoned with gold leaf. Its designer, Francis Sangorsky, spent months designing it and 2 years finishing its creation. It's a legendary book both because of the elevated artistry of the book and the tragedies that seem to follow it. Sangorsky's original copy sank with the Titanic. Before he could recreate it, Francis Sangorsky drowned 6 weeks after the ship. Stanley Bray, Sangorsky's partner, spent 6 years recreating the second copy of the book from Sangorsky's original drawings. The book was then destroyed in the London Blitz. It took Bray another 40 years to finish the next copy, which was donated to the British Library after his death.